Welcome to Crossroads and Callings. I am your host, Shamir Brown, and this is the podcast dedicated to navigating life's pivots and discovering a pathway to purpose and true calling. Today, I have a guest who is my friend personally and a friend of the show, Deon Lucas. Deon is a licensed architect, and the reason why I invited Deon on this show is because he's one of the few people that blew up their dreams to follow their passion of community. And I say it with laughter because he's such a passionate community advocate, and he utilizes his skill as an architect to do just that: develop community, develop people, and develop safe places for the community to thrive, build, and grow economically. He is the director of design for Beehive, as well as the co-founder of E.G. Wood. And we're going to get into what both of those are, but specifically, we're going to talk about the journey that led him to being both an architect and a community advocate. He has this motto: don't wait for the project, but make the project. And that has been the nature of his career, creating projects that help people thrive, as well as projects that help people succeed. Today, we are going to dive into the ultimate strategic shift of choosing purpose over prestige. And even though I laughed in the beginning, it is,
okay.
it was a laughter like, not ha ha, but laughter like, yeah. So we're going to talk more about that. But thank you, Deon, for coming to the show.
Thanks for having me, Shamir.
Yeah. So I'm going to need you to speak directly to the mic, though.
This, like right there,
Yeah, that's
okay.
better because you have the Barry White thing going on, and I want people to hear the story as you're telling it.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to kick things off. Crossroads and Callings, it starts now. Okay, Deon, we're going to jump right in. You are, again, not one of the few people who I know that I said you blew up your dreams, and we're going to get through to what I meant by that. But you're also one of the few people that knew what they wanted to do very early on in life, and you actually stuck to it. So you told me at the age of 3, you knew that you wanted to be an architect. Tell me a little bit more about what captivated you at a young age that led not only introduced architecture to you, but made you kind of stick to the path and the plan at hand.
Sure. So when I was younger, about 3 years old, I can vividly remember growing up out west. And one of the things when you're from the west side is 290 kind of cuts through the community in and of itself on all sides. And as I grew up, we would always jump on the expressway and I would see downtown. That's one of the most beautiful experiences for young people, to go towards the downtown area and you see the skyscrapers, you see the adjacent homes and buildings. And my interest was, wow, who built those towers? Who were the designers? And I remember my mom saying that those were architects. And at that moment, I decided I wanted to be either a car designer or mechanic like my father and my uncle, or I was going to be an architect. And, luckily my mom was listening. She's an entrepreneur in her own right, raising 6 kids and really getting it done thoroughly as a mother growing up in Cabrini and just experiencing all that it was during that time. She helped me pursue that. She was very involved in ensuring that as I grew older, I maintained an interest in the arts. I maintained an interest in drawing. And when I got to the early years of high school, she made sure that I went to a drafting school, so a vocational type school that would enable me to pursue that passion. So I think a lot of the credit goes to her in listening to a young mind so early and trying her best to cultivate. And she didn't do it aggressively at all. It was more so, hey, I heard you. I'll introduce it to you. I'll make sure you're surrounded by it, and you have to follow through on the rest. And she did a great job of that.
Are you the only architect in your family?
Absolutely. There are
Are
not many of us.
Are you the only one in your family to pursue college and graduate?
No, it's
Okay.
6 of us. We all attended. One didn't fully graduate, but my mom did a great job. She's,
Yeah.
a West Side born and raised, and to bring up 6 children from that community area, and all of us had the opportunity to attend, and you have, well, I would say, 2 or 3 of us with master's level degrees. Everybody has a bachelor's. I mean, you can't really negate her efforts as a mother in enabling her children to do better than what she had.
Yeah, she did her big one.
She did.
And then the fact that she was intentional about providing you with the tools along the way. A lot of people don't have that.
No.
Yeah, so really, this is dedicated to your mom.
Absolutely.
Like the person you are today.
Yeah.
But then you became an architect, and then you ended up working for the company that built the Sears Tower.
The skyscraper. What's funny is when she told me architect, a few years later I found out, okay, who was the architect, and they said SOM, and at that young age I wanted to work for them, and I got older and I had an opportunity to work for them.
Wow.
And that was sort of those dreams and visions as a young person coming to fruition.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, I always say it's purposeful luck. People say, oh, I'm lucky, or you're lucky, or whatever, and that is true. I think luck and position and presence plays a major role in the successes that we have in life.
You believe it was luck, though, Deon?
Absolutely. I think.
I don't think you're lucky.
Well, but what I mean by is purposeful luck, right?
Okay. Which means what in this case?
So you have to have some grit and gusto and desire to want to be in a certain place and space.
Yeah.
But you're never going to realize those benefits if you're not present there. So there's no way I could become an architect, work for the company, and do the things if I didn't continue to pursue. And the inevitable was that at some point I was going to meet a person, an individual. If I stayed on my path, then we would cross paths. So purpose and luck go hand in hand. It's just like the lottery. You can't be lucky in the lottery if you never play the lottery. You can't be lucky in life if you never play the game of life. So had I not ever pursued architecture or ever went into that space, I never would have been lucky enough to work for the institution that I desired to be a part of.
I'm going to respect kind of your perspective there, because I think it differs a little bit from mine in that sense, because I don't believe in luck. I do believe in timing. I do believe in alignment. I do believe that some things are just divine and you can't explain it.
True.
But I don't attribute that to luck. But I do know from an architecture standpoint that community is small.
Yeah.
So you're right in the sense that if you stay up the path of an architect in the first place, that eventually you're gonna cross paths with the top firms. It's just set up that way because the industry itself is so small. But I'm certain it's quite competitive, and even though it's small. So what do you think stood out about you that said, hey, this kid from the West Side, you from Garfield Park, right?
North London, Garfield, Austin. We lived in all of the West Side.
Oh, okay, okay. So
I didn't know what the West Side communities were until I went to college, and people kept questioning.
Because they didn't believe you, did they?
Yeah, they were like, nah.
There's no way you came from over
suburban. There. One guy was like, I thought you was from Naperville. I said, oh, okay, well, I don't know what Naperville looks like because I've never been, but cool, but.
Because how many Black men from the West Side do you meet that are architects? They were trying to wrap their logic around you.
It's like 3 or 4 of us.
Exactly. It's all 3 of y'all,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, right. Across the country.
See?
Yeah, it's a couple, a little handful.
Right.
Yeah.
So the community is small. So no shade to the people that were like, so where are you really from?
Yeah, seriously, yeah.
Where
Yeah, I
So
got that.
you said I'm from the west side. So west, what do you mean?
Like Oak Park, West Side? No, right in the heart of it. And you definitely carry those scars with you of being there. But I always tell people, where you grow up, especially in Chicago, it matters because the experiences that you're instilled with for me, it was more of the grittiness of where I grew up that gave me the confidence to be in spaces where I had no fear. I mean, once you've experienced and seen what I've seen, you can go anywhere and survive.
Are you
and
speaking
thrive.
to something in particular when you say
Just a lot
just
of stuff?
the neighborhood in
Yeah,
general?
the neighborhood in general, personal life experiences, relative life experiences, right? So a lot of times I wouldn't, I didn't, I wasn't in the streets, but I was adjacent, right? Everything they experienced, I experienced by being a visual witness to a lot of those things. And it's friends, family, acquaintances, you name it, I've experienced that. And I think a lot of that can do a few things to a person in general. You can either be broken by it and feel as if there's no tomorrow, you have nothing there, or you can be inspired by it and say, hey, if I can survive here, there's no way on earth or nowhere on earth that I can't survive and thrive. And that's the attitude I've taken with me as I've traversed this career. And I think it's given me the confidence. And I always tell my people that I am because of you, right? I am in this role, in this position, in this place of fortune directly because of where I come from. Those are the people who groomed me to be able to even survive on this side. And so being present in the community is not a benefit that I'm doing in pursuit of something that I have. Is more so me paying back
what they gave to you,
what was given to me, what was provided to me. And I think it's only fair that they reap the benefits of that because it's nothing I did except the fact that I survived and I showed up and I was able to move things forward for myself. All of that came from, my mom, my father, my uncle, my sisters, my aunts, my cousins. I mean, we used to talk about it takes a village. It genuinely
did.
The village got Deon to where he was. The influences, the people around you, the support systems. Having that and me and my cousins, we talk about it all the time. We are so fortunate we have each other.
Yeah.
Because that family dynamic it's a rarity in our communities to have.
Yeah.
Not just family, but a supportive, driven, caring family that knows we're going to take care of each other and this is where we need to go.
And they pushed you.
Oh man, all the time. Yeah. Still to this day, it's you need to get it done. We're relying on you. And it's not like a burdensome kind of thing. That's not how we operate. It's more of everybody knows the role they play in the family dynamic, and we want to make sure that everybody has what they need to thrive and survive.
Do you think, and just back to the first question I asked, like, what was it about you that stood out? Do you think some of that background where you're from, learning maybe some of that street smarts as well as that book smart that your mom made sure that you got, did that make you a standout candidate? Because I'm certain they got a lot of applicants. Yeah. And you called it in your own words, the Disney World.
It is
for architects.
I miss it so much. It was so amazing. They have everything. It's like Disney. Of architecture.
When you say they have everything, what do you mean? What is everything for you?
Every tool, resource, toy, like Disney that you could imagine exist at those majority firms, specifically in SOM or those that are in the similar company. And, I mean, it's an architect's playground.
So how'd you end up there?
So you were asking a little bit of like my attitude towards the work that I do. I don't carry any true goal or objective in the work that I do. It's more of a purpose. And the purpose is to do good work with good people for good reasons. I didn't have that in my teens or even my 20s. It was something I developed in my 30s, but I had the mindset. So when I was going through high school, I had an opportunity to work for a firm. And one of the things that I applied in that firm dynamic was given to me. This old man, I remember him explaining to me, and I believe I was at my father or my uncle's garage, and he said, man, young brother, whatever you do, make sure you do it better than anybody else. And he said, I don't care what it is. You can be a janitor, you could be an accountant. He just was just giving me just all of these nuggets of information. So I got hired by a small firm, and this is me after winning an award in high school and being like a great drafts person across the board, gathering all these skills. These guys decided to put me in the basement of their firm and organize files. And I was mad. But I remember recalling what he said to me was, you gotta be the best no matter what. Love every part of the job. I organized the mess out of those files. By the end of that summer, they had a whole system that they could recall and know where everything was on their shelves, in their flat files. It was beautiful. And they called me back every summer after that.
From working,
right?
being a basement worker.
Just working in the basement the whole summer. And I thought, like, how is this architecture? How are you teaching me something? And it was beyond architecture. It was more about, like, we want to test you, which I don't think they were actually testing. They needed organization. They didn't have it. But just seeing how you perform. And from there, I carried that attitude with me from what I was told by that old man. And, you know, a lot of the confidence I got wasn't because I'm better or I'm more talented. Is that you're not going to outwork me. It's not possible, because every step of the way, there are going to be parts where you don't like. I'm going to like all of it. And so I use that as my advantage as I traverse through college, the work environment, right? I didn't complain about things because there was nothing to complain about. I enjoyed every part and every aspect of the work.
Let's unpack that, because that is a mindset thing. And I know that people can listen to this and be like, I do not like every aspect of the work. Because some of it is bleak and dark, like that basement that you were working in. No, it is. It's not all roses and sunshine. I can't think of any job I've ever had that I've liked all pieces of it. But it seems like you weren't even concerned about the work because you just knew how you wanted to show up. Is that a fair assumption? Or, like, how did you remove yourself from the grunt of it and kind of embrace, like, I'm still going to work harder than everyone else and because me and you went to grad school together. I'm going to say this on record. All of that wasn't great. It wasn't. But the fact that you said you were determined to be the best whatever space that you're in, like, what is that? I'm trying to figure out the science behind it, because it doesn't. As I say it out loud, it does not. It kind of sounds a little crazy.
Oh, you got to be a little crazy to be an entrepreneur in general.
That's also very true.
Yeah. So we all a little looping, a little insane. I mean, so that's like baseline. You got to start with that.
So you say put that to the side.
Yeah, that's like default. I think it's a little bit of naivete, right? You have to convince yourself that this is something that I want to do, I should be doing, I have to do. And but beyond all of that, I always understood it was temporary, right? Nothing is permanent. Say
that again, because I think that's why I like being a project manager, because I know there's an end date. It's something about knowing that there is an end.
Yeah.
That makes things that are grueling just a little bit easier.
Yeah, there's nothing in this life you will live that doesn't have an expiration date. Now,
that's deep, Deon.
But it's a fact.
No,
right?
it is. No, it is.
Yeah, just so why complain in the moment knowing this will be over, right? You should enjoy that part, because there may be a time when you can't do that part ever again, or you're never going to get that opportunity. And so for me, my mindset is always to endure and to know, I may have to endure for 6 days or 6 years, but it's going to be over. It's inevitable.
Yeah.
It will end. Do I know how it's going to end? No, but that's irrelevant. I just know there's a termination point because nothing lasts forever. And that I wouldn't even call it pain or suffering. It's just that moment in time in which you're experiencing something. You just have to traverse and get through it. And once you've wrapped it up, you move on to the next thing. And that made every aspect of the work that I did, the work that I currently do, much easier for me. Whereas a lot of people look in that moment and it feels as if I'm never going to get out of this.
Yeah.
That's impossible. You're not going to be in that moment. I'll give you another reason why you can never be in that moment all the time. You still have to sleep. So when you rest, it's over, right? You may have to return to that the next day, but it's temporarily, it ceases to exist, right?
Yeah.
So you got to kind of take those pauses and the in-betweens and cherish those moments. But always know, even waking up and doing the thing the next day, it won't last forever.
That is why I think you were a standout candidate. I'm gonna revert back to the question though, because I was trying to figure out what was it that stood out about you among the rest. You were willing to outwork anybody, and you have mastered the art of embracing the journey.
Yeah.
Like all aspects. And even in those downtimes as an architect, I know you gotta do some drawing, some scaling, some mock-ups, some blueprints, whatever you guys do. Some of that is tedious. I'm convinced that it is. But the fact that you have mastered the ability to understand that this is only but a moment, and it's just a means to an end, and then there's something after. Like, yeah, Deon, that's powerful. I don't know if you know that.
I don't because it's not something
that you think about.
Yeah, I don't sit in that thing. It's what matters to me most is I always put the relationships first. And I get, I don't want to say beaten, battered, but question on, the relationships can harm the business aspects of things, right?
When you say relationships, what are you speaking to? Professional relationships?
Yeah, both.
Customer relationships?
Yeah, I don't like transactional things. I'm not a transactional person. And I'll give you a little reason behind that. I grew up out west, so I saw transactions all the time.
When you say that, I think of drugs.
Yeah, right? But in those transactions, it was very cold, and there was no desire or intent behind the life of that person and what you were either bestowing upon them or receiving from them. And being in close proximity to that, I realized I never wanted that in any relationship. Whether you're selling or dealing or whatever, it's still a relationship. You still have some sort of connection to that person, whether it's transactional or not. And what I tend to try to focus in on is organic, true relationships. Like this person I'm working for or working with, what kind of connection do I have to them? Because what I did see in those transactions out west was you never want to affiliate with anybody you're not willing to lose with. Because if you can lose with them, when y'all win together, you always know that person has your best interest in mind. And architecture is not for the faint of heart. It
seems very transactional.
It is very transactional. It's hyper transactional.
Yeah, it's a for-profit business.
Yeah, and even with that, it's just it's a luxury sport, right? It's not for accessibility to the minority, right? There's over 150,000 licensed architects in this country alone, and I think we're at maybe 3,500 that are African American.
Right.
And so you're talking 2, maybe 3% of the entire basis. Whereas the work happening in our communities is much greater than that. So we're not really touching the majority of the work that we could, simply because of the way this industry is.
How it's set up.
And that's just been the way it's been for the last 100+ years.
Is that why you left your industry? Because that was the dream. You're literally living the dream. And you just
And it was
talked
beautiful.
about, I'm certain they paid you well too.
Very well.
And then, but you just had this whole conversation about being not wanting to be transactional,
Yeah.
and really you equated it to the drug game,
Yeah.
where it's just something that we do. It's just a means to an end.
Means to an
You
end.
getting your hit, and I'm getting this money,
Yeah.
and that's it. There's no heart and no soul,
None.
and it seems like you were chasing that. And you just said that architecture itself, that business is created similar
That
like
part
that.
of, yeah.
That part of it is. So is that why you said, you know what, I don't want to work here anymore, even though it's Disneyland and I'm paying well.
Keep reminding me.
I'm just saying, because on the paper it really don't make sense. But now you have a soul.
Yeah. I think part of it is, how we talk about recalling where you're from.
Mm-hmm.
I can be transactional, and it's so much easier than being relational.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be there because, coming where we're both from, it's so easy to do it, right?
is.
You've been conditioned for it.
Not just us personally, but everybody else around us too.
Yeah.
Because by nature, the people of this world are more inclined to be transactional as opposed to relational. I think it's just the culture in a capitalistic society. It's just the nature of the beast.
I don't like that part of me. So the organic thing for me is knowing and understanding yourself, right? It's more of a self thing than it has anything to do with outside forces. And when I say self, meaning like I just go back to growing up, I'm conditioned to be transactional.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to care. I've been trained not to care. I know things are short, life is short, and there are a lot of things that can be taken away in an instant. So, realistically, to go into that space and to be transactional, I would sort of put myself in a bubble and be disconnected from the real world at hand. And being aware of that is terrifying to me. Like, I don't want to be that person.
What scares you about that, though? I think I hear I hear the fear, but I don't. Yeah. What is the fear that you will be stuck there? Because there's certain places.
It's not just being stuck there. It's when you've seen those things and the results can equal like fast movement up a ladder, then you use it as a tool. It's just a tool, right? Like transactions are a tool or means to an end. It's something you use to get what you want. I don't like it because, probably exposing myself, but I would be over manipulative. I would be hyper convincing to people to get what I wanted.
And
but that's what transactions do.
That's corporate politics 101 too.
And I would do it better than everyone else.
I'm certain you would, because you outwork everybody.
I understood that about me, my personal self, and I had to make a decision. Is that who I want to be? Is that the legacy, that I would want to live, that I would want to bring to my family and the resources that have been provided to me?
Yeah.
And the simple answer was no. Like, I don't want to develop or live a personal or a professional life where everything I do is based on a transaction.
Let's talk about where you are now, because you're no longer in the corporate space. You're a full-time entrepreneur. I want you to describe, because you are the director of Beehive, you co-founded E.G. Wood. Could you talk about what both of those things are? Kind of give them a face, give it a mission, and
Sure.
And then relate it back to your desire not to be transactional, to be more relational. I call it having a soul.
Yeah.
And when people do climb the corporate ladder, I always wonder in the back of my mind, like, what did they sacrifice to get there? Yeah. And it seems like you didn't want to stay in a corporate space where you begin to sacrifice you. You wanted to maintain some type of sense of self. You didn't want to be a soulless dealer of design. And that's honorable. Like, and I chuckled a little earlier, but no, it's honorable. I respect you. But I want to talk about the projects that you're doing now with them,
Yeah.
and then how it relates back to you satisfying that mission of being like people driven.
Yeah.
Start with Beehive.
So Beehive is something that myself and a few other architects were discussing in theory when I first got into architecture. And a lot of that was, a space or place where minority, specifically Black firms could exist that is for the community. And synonymous to bees in a hive, a collectivism, a collective community of architects that are striving for the betterment of those that are around you. And no one works harder than bees in a hive. They're probably the most organized collective group of people, self-sacrificing literally for the greatness of the hive. That's why we called it Beehive. Originally, we were supposed to be the anti-firm. So everything that we knew that firms did, we didn't want to do any of that, right? And I would say we're...
Deon, you're Jerry Maguire.
What?
Deon is Jerry Maguire. I don't know why that dawned on me, because he wanted to be like the anti-agent and be concerned about the people.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't mean to stop you.
Appreciate that. That's cool. And so we, I had that idea to let's do it, and it had to be something that related directly to just nature in general. How does nature respond to things things like that? And the premise was to be that anti-firm. And I would say, we're close to where I truly want us to be. We're not the cooperative that I intend to sort of lead us to. And that's because of, starting something and then getting it to that level is very difficult, especially in an industry where it's not designed for that. It's not designed for that collective means. It's designed for profit. It's designed for growth. It's designed for, straight in the narrow.
Yeah.
You got a little bit of fun in between, but it really is a sport that it's aggressive. It's hyper vigilant, and then people pursue it with the utmost agent. Yeah, they're crazy. So we started it, and right off the bat, my goal was to, one, not just identify projects and people that I wanted to work with, but also ensuring that along the way, there was a purpose behind what they were doing. And then that purpose aligned with what I wanted to do. So most of the projects that we have in our pipeline were projects I selected, where I agreed to work with that client.
Based on?
My goals and values.
Okay.
And so...
Which was to?
Do good work with good people for good reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no end game to that. That's something you can do for your entirety of your career. You just wake up and do those three things. Then there's no reason to say, oh, I have to meet a goal. I don't need to. I'm doing those three things. Then the goal is being met on a daily basis.
Exactly.
And if I get a client that comes across the desk that can't fit, like if you're not doing good work with good people for good reasons, then we're not
aligned.
Yeah, we're not aligned. So I tend to not take those jobs. I'll send them out the door to someone else. And that has led us to a point where I would say, there's a balance where focusing on purpose in the people has given us the credibility that folks, they know who we are and they know what we're about. But it's also had some byproducts that are not as favorable from a business perspective, right? When you're doing that and you're focused on relationships, you begin to give too much or give way more than what you have capacity for and then what you can afford. So then you have like this pinch point where, okay, I'm here to help and I want to be of service, but service actually does cost money.
Service
right?
does cost.
And so you have to, it took us a while to get to a point where the effort and the toil and the relationships matches up with the level of service, right?
Okay.
And so over time, we've gotten to a point where, we genuinely get calls from our supporters that are concerned. They're like, hey, look, I know you're helping all of these people, but are you sustainable? Can you survive?
Can you scale?
Can you scale? Or we need you. And so we want you to help, but we also don't want you to die either.
Yes.
And so like, there's a balance there. I think helping people comes with its cost and its repercussions, but I still wouldn't trade it, right? Because in doing so, in that building phase of getting to a point where they trust us, they know what we're about. So when we do show up, they already know, like, whatever they're sending our way, we know we can believe in that.
What have you built to date?
What do you?
In terms of projects, like what have you guys built to date?
Man, we've done a lot of housing. So single families, 2 flats, multifamily housing. We have a lot of projects really under construction. So we're doing about 70 homes now on the south and west sides. We have a hotel in Pullman that is about to start. We're sort of partners with other firms. JGMA, Juan Moreno is probably one of our best partners and collaborators. He is a very respected, world-renowned architect that took us under his wing, and he's been more than just a partner. He's been a brother, he's been a mentor, he's been a friend, advisor, all of the above. Juan says jump, I say how high. Like that's our relationship, and I wouldn't trade that for the world, because he's been one of the few more successful entities that has poured into us and treats us as an equal. And you don't really get that in this industry, especially from a mid to large size firm with a small practice, right? That you have an entity that you can trust,
and a mission-driven
purpose behind that. We've done projects with Land & Bone Baker, which is LBBA. We're standing and sitting in one of their projects right now. They've been a good partner to us.
Yeah,
MKB,
and the museum is beautiful.
It's beautiful. Yeah, they did a great job. MKB and Gensler. Gensler is literally the largest firm in the world, and we've done probably 2 projects to date with them, and we have another one that is slated. So we're not.
It keeps you booked. Your mission keeps you booked, but does it keep you profitable?
Well, profitability is relative. At this moment, no.
Okay.
It keeps us in business.
Okay.
But that goes back to that mission and that purpose and those relationships, and how do you pursue that in a the transactional way, right? So there's I love you, you're my brother, you're my sister, but you also have to pay me, right?
Yeah.
And so that's
hard.
Oh man, it's one of the most difficult things in the world, because my clients, they show me everything, right? So I'm seeing all facets of the work that they do.
And you know that they can pay you.
Some and some not, right? Yeah. And we earlier in our development, I had to make those hard decisions on, is it worth quitting because you don't have the means, or is it worth pursuing because you don't have the means? And that's a hard decision, because in my space as architects, typically we're waiting for something. And that waiting is, okay, we need a client with money to give us the project or propose it so we can apply and do it. I don't have that luxury working in communities where nothing exists.
Which is why you said I create the project.
I make the project. And so if you look at our portfolio of works, the majority of them are projects we co-made with our client, where they had an idea, they had social capital, but they were missing the economic capital. We have a skill, we have agency, and we have alignment, and we have a portion of that, I say, intellectual capital that they're missing. And together we have value. So our projects, we would do a lot of upfront, work, while I would do other projects on the side, just to sustain while those would get feet and they would be able to run on their own. And that just took time, right? You're talking most of these projects, we're starting 2020, 2022, and 3 years later, now it has the ability
Yeah.
to generate something. And
So it's a long game.
it is I don't think you're doing this work without having a much
That's the thing about
longer perspective.
community work. It's a churn and burn, and that's why I always emphasize that people that get into it really gotta love it, and really
You
have
gotta
to
be
have
obsessed with
and
it.
yeah, and have to have you have a passion,
Yeah.
like a built-in passion. Like I have to, almost
Yeah.
like food or air, to stay with it, to see it through to the end, because to be working on these projects 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years and then not turn a profit until much later.
If you turn a profit.
Yeah, you have to have vision for that.
Yeah. And it's worth it to me. I mean, it's worth it because when you do that for 3 or 4 times and you've built that reputation with that small group, those small groups, those individuals have tentacles. They touch a lot of places and spaces.
That's true.
And what's happened with us is that those early sacrifices leading up into this point has given us a reputation of, reliability, but also trust, meaning you can trust that they're not going to leave you, they're not going to abandon you, they're not going to treat you like,
they're not going to steal from you.
they're not going to steal, they're not going to overcharge you or give you additional service things. Like they're going to take care of you, right?
Honorable.
Very. And I think that to me is worth more because it's enabled us to do a lot of things I don't think many firms have the luxury of doing. We very rarely submit for RFPs. We very rarely compete for jobs. It's more of we're either invited, a call, or an email.
Yeah, and then you assess if you have capacity.
And that's as far as it goes.
Yeah.
And I think I would much rather be in that position in my career moving forward than having to go out and compete in a traditional space where I think that is where the transactions come along.
Yeah.
You're out in the world, you're competing in a space, and now it's like, well, you won it, now you have to transact. I don't want to win anything, right? That's not my thing. I want to contribute to something. I want you to see the value prior to.
And then invite me back.
And then invite me to something, right? And
I do want to just interject really quickly because I want to see, so we talked about Beehive and really it's just community development. How does this relate to E.G. Wood and what's the differentiator there?
Sure. So we launched Beehive in 2015, and I started doing a lot of community volunteering. And I remember talking to a lot of architects earlier in the day, and they were asking, "Man, I hear you're out here in the community doing whatever. I want to help." I said, "Well, you probably have to quit your job because the work you do during the day is at work while I'm at work." Meaning I'm doing the socializing, building relationships, and then after you leave work, I go back to work because now I have to do the work in the evening that I didn't have time to do during the day because I was doing all the things to build, right? And so I began volunteering in Inglewood, and one of the first 2 organizations I started working with was Rage and Teamwork. And I really enjoyed those first few years because they were just coming off the end of their quality of life plan.
Talk about what Rage is.
Resident Association of Greater Inglewood, run by and co-founded by Aisha Butler and a few other Inglewood residents. And I would say they are the voice of Inglewood. They really promote and have agency for the residents. And I take my hat off to Aisha. She's done a very, very good job of making sure that residents of all ages and backgrounds have agency there. And Teamwork Inglewood is sort of more the institutional agency of Inglewood, still run by Inglewood residents and championed by Inglewood residents. And they have a lot of influence, amongst the social, political crowds. They do a lot of recidivism training. And those 2 agencies together were the first ones that I began to just contribute my time and effort with. And it's paid major dividends with those relationships. Aisha and I are on our second project together. The first was a 2-flat that her and I were like, we need to do something. And we both were like, well, why are we waiting? Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And we did it. And that led to the next project, which snowballed into something even bigger, right? So you go from a
two flat
to a 15,000 square foot, $6 million project in a short period of time because, led by her, you take agency. And same with teamwork. We were volunteering there, and now we're working on a project with them on 63rd.
What's the difference though between Beehive and what you're doing with
E.G.
E.G.
Wood?
Wood? Is it the location?
No, we're literally same desk, same office, same person.
Okay. I was thinking about in terms of the side of the city. Beehive seems to be like everyone. E.G. Wood is more dedicated to the Inglewood area.
Right now we are, because that's kind of where we started, and E.G. Wood is Inglewood for short. So that guy doesn't exist if you think you know him.
I did not think that was a guy, but I didn't know. I did not know that.
E.G. Wood, Inglewood.
As long as I've been knowing you, I did not make that connection.
Well, you got it today.
And now here it is.
And you know why we did that, right?
Yeah.
Get out of business school, you understand marketing, branding, strategy. But I also understood my city. We're a very segregated city. And my long-term vision was E.G. Wood is a agency for all parts of the city. And it's very difficult to go from Inglewood to South Shore and say, hey, I'm an Inglewood organization doing South Shore work, or especially from Inglewood to North Lawndale, where this is my family. We still on 13th and Avers, right? So I want to do work across the entire city, not just be pigeonholed to one space. And so, but I also wanted to pay homage to the roots of where we started, which was Inglewood. And so the E.G. Wood brand, anyone could be E.G. Wood. It's really designed for entrepreneurs, right? So it could be Eleanor or it could be Ernest, right? E.G. is not synonymous to a particular person. It's more of a state of being and whatnot. So you ask how E.G. Wood came about.
Yeah.
Well, volunteering as Beehive for those 2 years led to a opportunity in 2017 when Rahm Emanuel and his agency or his group at the time launched the two programs, the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and the Retail Thrive Zone initiative. And me being the MBA graduate and the architect, I saw an opportunity, right? You got to identify them when you see them. And I saw not just an opportunity to be sort of an architect, but also using those business training skills to say, hey, there's this application. I can do not only the design and engineering for you, but I can also help you write the narrative of the grant and the pro forma. And that's what we did. We were volunteering, working with different people across the community. The Chamber of Commerce had just kicked off and was starting, and they introduced us to a couple of people. And during those introductions, these folks wanted to go after this grant, but they had never written a grant. They had no guidance and whatever. So we became like our own little CDC beehive, right? And we wrote their grants, we did their branding, their logos, like all of that stuff.
You managed their entire business
the whole
life
thing.
cycle.
Yeah. And I said, hey, look, this is the deal. We'll do this. You don't have to pay me if we lose. But if we win, that's my job. I want that job as your architect. And we did it for ourselves and 4 other groups. And we thought, you know how you in business school, it's like you do 5 or you touch 10 people, you get 1 hit. That's a win, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, I do 5. I just need 1, whether it's us or someone else. Well, all 5 won, right? And I was like, oh, damn, that never happens, right? Like, you're 5 for 5.
And you weren't prepared for that.
I wasn't prepared for it. And at that time, my girlfriend, who's now my wife, was like, all right, you put all this lipstick on pigs, you need to follow through. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you love dressing people up, making them pretty. You get them into a place and then you leave, right? And I'm like, well, that's my job. I'm just an architect. I'm not a builder. I'm not your partner. I'm not your agency, right? I'm here for a short temporary period of time and then I exit, right? That's and it was by like design.
You're like, you won. I did what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, right.
You be blessed. Go
there you
forth
go.
And prosper. Yeah.
And she was like, you can't do that. And I thought to myself,
she's right.
She is right, 100%. And from there, we went from being we were at the time we were in Inglewood Thrive Zone Collective because we applied as a group to becoming E.G. Wood. And my champion to them was, hey, look, we've done something that I'm pretty sure no one thought we would be able to do. And that was just getting the win, right?
Yeah.
Like as a group of people who are untested, everything, right? We were just the minority of the minority. And all of them were like, sure. I mean, we went this far.
Might as well take it to the
Might as well
end.
keep going, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, we got connected with LISC. And this was through our volunteering with Teamwork Inglewood.
And LISC is?
Local Initiative Support Corporation. They are a New York-based firm, but they have about 33 offices across the country. And their LISC Chicago is run by Megan Hart. And at the time, there was a woman working there, Taryn Roche, who was sort of like deputy or something like that to Megan. And she heard what we had done. And she said, man, I really think Megan would love this. And I was like, well, who is that? She's like, oh, it's the executive director of LISC. So I exchange a few emails with Megan. We have a conversation. And then I meet her for breakfast and tell her everything that we're doing, where we are. And she was just
elated, huh?
Elated, like, I want this. We got to get this done. And that was the start of a very great relationship between two persons, I think, where she understood the challenges we had and I didn't see them coming, right? And I understood, okay, this might be a person who would want to pour into us. And that's really where E.G. Wood took off, was that relationship with her and the agency she took to get us to a point where we could take risk in being not just a startup corporation or startup company, but we are a startup of startups, right? So that's like 18 strikes against you. You're starting up something that has a model strategy that's been untested.
Yes.
And then you're made up of 5 other startups or 8 institutions that have they've not done the thing that they said they've done in that space. But I think because of the way we did it, and I think she knew I wasn't going to give up. I was going to make it happen.
Yeah, you seem like you're convincing, Deon.
Yeah, and she took every opportunity to make sure we had what we needed to execute on that. And I took every opportunity I had to make sure I followed through on her risk, because a lot of people don't understand like lending and financing, especially from banks and CDFIs. They have their rules. And for an agency like LISC, she has, a higher level of responsibility to a New York-based group of people, right?
Yeah.
And so there's limitations on even someone who wants to give you, what you need. She can only take it so far. And I will tell you, Megan went to every door and every resource and every thing she could possibly reach out to make sure we got that first project moving.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that, like, having that person with that level of trust and taking that level of risk on something that is brand new with brand new people you just met
and untested
is a little insane. I think we both were a little, probably still are, but to date, because of what she's done, now we're on our second project and we're poised to close on 2 more properties because of the risk she was willing to take. And I think you couple that with, where we started, the pursuit and where we're going, and being in that place, right? And having someone who's willing to take that risk, especially on the financial side, it was worth the effort and the time and the toil. And I would say, there are a lot of other folks that were involved, a lot of other philanthropic agencies that are involved, but having that agency from an individual who, you really didn't have to put in that kind of effort to help us, it meant everything, right? And I think that is, I would say, I always tell people, no offense, but if she says, hey, look, this thing isn't working out,
Then
you
it's
need to
not
cut
working.
it, then I'm like, okay, I guess. Because you were part of, you're like 51% of why we're here, right? And the other part is just the effort and the toil that we were putting in.
I
But
do want to jump right in because it's because you had a people first approach that you're even here in the first place.
absolutely, yeah.
And as we're kind of winding down, because you essentially lived a dream, and then you're living a new dream.
Yeah, dreams of dreams.
Dreams of dreams, and then you helping other people's businesses thrive within their respective communities. Do you think you are currently living in your calling and what you believe that you were meant to be doing?
I think I've always lived in my calling.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean I didn't know it. So there were times where,
Which is what for you? What do you think it is?
not knowing, or
What do you think your calling
my calling
is? Yeah.
is to be, going back to the middle of the conversation, a hope dealer, right? Like,
Okay.
I'm slinging hope. I'm trying to make sure people are convinced we can do anything.
Yeah.
And I want to spread that contagion. I want you to be high on my hope. And I think if I can do that successfully, there's nothing we can't do together.
Yeah.
And when you're in a group of people where the probability of success by the numbers feels insurmountable, there's nothing that having doubt is going to get you through that.
Right.
Right. So when I'm in these spaces and I'm in these rooms with people, my only job is to make sure that they are hopeful we're going to win. And winning is different for everyone, right? Winning for me is this moment right here. I won.
Because you get to be in my podcast.
There you go. That's a win. Boom, right there. You
talk
can't
about
beat
your
me.
dreams and
you
your
can't
work.
say you won because I already won. This game's over. Right? There's nothing else, right?
Right.
And so I think being in the communities we serve, the space, the relationships, the work, or lack thereof, is still a win, right? And people tend to take little notice to the wins they already have because they're so focused on what is next, what haven't I done, or what don't I have. And for me, it's about waking up every day knowing I've already won. There's no, like, the rest of it is just bonus round.
Right.
So I'm in the bonus round.
Exactly.
While everybody else is like, oh, I'm trying to do this.
Trying to get their first win.
I won. I'm just bonus, So
Yeah.
whether I get it or not, it's not a loss. It's more of a, well, that was a bonus to begin with. So just move on to the next thing.
What's next for you?
Next is to continue to do good work with good people for good reasons.
I mean, we don't have to make that a hashtag because that has doing good work with good people
for good reasons.
For good reasons.
Yeah,
it's so simplistic, but
why do you need a next if you're doing those things?
That's fair. That's a fair question.
Yeah. If you can do that for a lifetime, you'll never be without joy, because that's your daily thing. My daily thing is to wake up and to get that feeling of those three things. And if I don't feel it in that day, then I know there's a problem.
Yeah.
Somebody got to shift. Somebody got to get out of the way because you're blocking my joy. You're blocking the thing that makes me happy. And I have to fulfill that every day. Otherwise, I think I'll fall into a space where most of us are, where we're jaded and we're, I am, at heart, I'm a cynic, but.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, absolutely. Cynic. But I think that's what makes my job enjoyable, right?
Yeah.
Is that while I do those three things, I am a cynic, which means that you can never fail with me because I already expected you to. What matters is how you recover. You always hear that, right? It's not that you fail. It's that, did you get back up? Did you continue to pursue the goal, right? And so between doing good work with good people for good reasons and having a cynic state of mind, when I work with people, I only have the expectations they have for themselves, right? Because I have none for you.
Yeah.
It's what you want out of the deal. What are you?
And we'll make that happen.
And we'll make it happen.
Whatever you want to do.
Whether you, and if you don't, if you say, yeah, I decide I don't want to do it anymore, cool. It wasn't for me in the beginning in the first place. It was for you. I'm here to serve you. This is my purpose in life. I'm just trying to do those three things, right? But if you decide this is not something you want to do, then no harm, no foul. Like I chose to support. You didn't want to do it, then I just move on to the next person.
Yeah.
And so I think, coupled with that is what's next. It is to help more. One of the things I remember going into Inglewood saying to people, which is still true today, is I want to create an army of entrepreneurs. I feel like that's the only way, you take the communities that we're in, the country that we're in, the amount of wealth that I've even seen. It baffles me that we live in communities in the city of Chicago that are blighted, that have vacancies, that don't have a multitude of people, right? You're talking the largest country by GDP in the world with probably 25% of the population of the next largest country by GDP. And you still have poor people. You still have communities that
struggling
in the third largest city in this wealthy country with all the money and all the power. There's struggle. And it baffles me every day that you asked about my time at SOM. I had the privilege of working on literally billion-dollar projects where the pot of money was limitless. Like you just keep working as much as you can to get it all done. And
it's billable work.
Billable work. Like how many hours you got? 400. Okay, we're going to get that money.
Yeah.
To going into community work where, I got clients who can't afford 4 hours. And I have projects, it's not billion, it's, they got a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And the discrepancy between like how that small project could transform people in the community and the area around it versus those larger ones, I think the impact is much greater there than it is with something of scale.
Right, which is the focus to do good work,
good people for good reasons.
For good reasons. How can people plug into some of the work that you're doing? Like, what's the best way to learn about what's happening with E.G. Wood, and if people wanted to maybe invest or support you, what would
hire me?
And how do they reach out? How do they reach out to you?
Email me, dlucas, DLUCAS at beehive.com.
I'll put it in the lower thirds because I think even though Deon's story is really robust, I think the baseline is being relational.
Absolutely.
Being people first and actually meaning it.
Yeah.
And being honorable. It was a lot of honor in your story as well. And I thank you for visiting the Crossroads and Callings
Thank you for having me on this wonderful show.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
You dropped a lot of gems. I'm going to have to pull from, because you said a lot, but there were some things that really stood out. Like when your wife now said that you can't keep putting lipstick on a pig.
So disrespectful.
Yeah, she held you to the fire. She held you to your commitments. And sometimes you need somebody to hold you to your commitments.
Absolutely.
Which is why you have the businesses that you have today. So I would just want to encourage you just to keep going. I know community work isn't easy, but it's worth it, like you said. And it's necessary too. So
and I want to add one thing is it's a privilege.
Thank you for tuning in. And also, lastly, I do want to thank the National Public Housing Museum for being just an amazing partner. I didn't even know you had fellowship with them to even create this space, but they've allowed me to share this space. By all means, I will encourage you to leverage your Crossroads to get you to your calling.